Coming up on Mountain News this morning, an Eastern Kentucky healthcare center preps to host an after-hours cancer screening event, and the company behind the first antiviral treatment for COVID-19 announces a recall on some doses.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good Monday morning to you. It's 6:01. It's beginning of a new week, and we are pumped for that. And it's beginning to be a very active weather scene in some parts of our state. But right now, here at home, things are calm. Let's head over to Cameron Aaron for a look at that forecast this morning. Cameron, there's tornado warnings popping up in parts of the state, but thankfully, so far this morning, we're calm, we're cool, and we're collected.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I don't really know if we're cool. We're kind of mild.
Yeah, we are. It's a mild start to the day. That is exactly right. But we are dry at the moment, but some changes are on the way. I want to start out by taking a wide look at the state like we just mentioned. Now, there are a couple of tornado warnings over portions of western Kentucky there, just to the south of Bowling Green, just to the north of Nashville. We're not really expecting any widespread severe weather issues here in the mountains. Now, just to our north over portions of Greenup County, there is a severe thunderstorm warning there for the possibility of some strong gusty winds. Now, we could see some gusty winds as that front moves through. Now, here's a look at satellite and radar. Like I said, most of us are dry right now, but a big old batch of rain is just off to our west as that cold front begins to inch its way closer into the area. And we're taking a look at the Moorhead camera here very closely as that cold front is inching its way closer to our area. But like we mentioned, it is a mild start to the day. Those temperatures right now in the middle 60s, 62 for Jackson, 63 in Hazard, 64 for Prestonsburg, and also down in Williamsburg. So it is a mild start to the day, but we are going to fall off into those 40s later on today, and upper 20s are possible as we get later on tonight. Got that full forecast coming up just a little bit later. Dakota.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Tributes and memorials continue to pour in Sunday night for longtime Senator and one-time Republican presidential nominee Bob Dole. He died at the age of 98 after battle with lung cancer. Senator Dole served in World War II with injuries from that war, stayed with him for the rest of his life. And even after leaving the service, his service to country never stopped. Jeremy Toms shows us the impact he had on some Kentucky veterans.
Senator Bob Dole's decades of service to this country began in part right here in Kentucky. Dole wrote in a letter that he was headed to what he heard was a pretty nice camp on April 10th, 1944. He was referring to Camp Breckenridge in Union County. Dole later spoke with WKYT's Bill Bryant about his time there.
And that's where I was when I was asked or selected to go to officer candidate school in Fort Benning, Georgia.
The Republican would return in the 80s and 90s in his efforts to earn the favor of the American people in various presidential campaigns. Sharing some laughs in Lexington.
And I said, I don't want to be vice president, I want to be president.
And some of his values with a crowd in Covington.
I can tell you the undecideds are coming our way. The people are saying leadership, character, trust.
But for some veterans living in the Commonwealth, the most valuable thing he shared was a hello.
9 times out of 10, a veteran would ask before we even departed Lexington, will Senator Dole be there?
Honor Flight Kentucky has sent nearly 1,000 veterans to D.C. to see their memorials. And often, Senator Dole was there to greet them.
If he saw somebody try to step out of line to go around, he'd call them back. Where are you going? Don't you want to say hi?
Chapter President Phil Pittman called his presence at the memorials an inspiration and added that it's a sad day for America.
For every single person that had that opportunity, they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Well, this past Veterans Day, Honor Flight held a national campaign to write letters to Dole. In Kentucky's chapter's letters, they called Dole the greeter-in-chief. Well, 1 in 8 U.S. women will develop invasive breast cancer during their lifetime. And to combat this, staff at the Hazard ARH Breast Center is offering after-hours mammograms for its Ma'am's Day Out event taking place today from 5 to 8 p.m. Now, this event caters to those with no medical insurance, low insurance, or those who have difficulty getting mammograms during regular hours.
Just about anyone that you talk to has a family member or friend who they have lost from breast cancer. So anything we can do to promote screening is definitely a win.
In order to receive a screening at the Ma'am's Day Out event, you must have a referral from your primary physician. While over in Jefferson County Public Schools vaccine clinic got a special visit Sunday afternoon. The Lieutenant Governor, Jacqueline Coleman, was on hand at the clinic at Eastern High School. JCPS has really led the way for child vaccinations in Kentucky, hosting the largest vaccine event in the state back in November. Now, students are eligible for their second shots, and the Lieutenant Governor says it's amazing to see the state's biggest school district step up.
When you see these young people getting their shots and they know that they're one step closer to helping us in this pandemic, and the parents are with them, and I saw them rolling their sleeves up too, it's really inspiring.
After stopping by Eastern, Coleman went down to 4th Street for menorah lighting with Louisville's Jewish community. Gilead, the maker of remdesivir, the first antiviral approved to treat COVID-19, is announcing a safety recall. Now, in a statement Friday, the company reports that 2 lots of its COVID-19 drug may be contaminated with glass particles. Now, while there have been no adverse events reported, in theory, the particles could block blood vessels, causing stroke and even death. Gilead is notifying distributors and customers about the problem. The infused antiviral treatment can only be administered in a controlled healthcare setting like a hospital. Remdesivir was approved by the FDA for treating hospitalized COVID-19 patients 12 years and older. Well, with COVID-19 infections spiking and a third of states reporting Omicron cases, new rules are now in effect for passengers arriving from overseas. Laura Podesta reports from New York.
As of this morning, all travelers coming to the U.S. must undergo a COVID-19 test within 24 hours of their departure. Previously, they had to be tested within 3 days of their flight.
Definitely another challenge that's coming up in the way for travelers.
The tightened restrictions come as the Omicron variant continues to spread. At least 17 states have reported Omicron-related infections. Many of the confirmed cases have been found in vaccinated people who reported having mild symptoms.
But we really got to be careful before we make any determinations that it is less severe or it really doesn't cause any severe illness comparable to Delta. But thus far, the signals are a bit encouraging regarding the severity.
Experts say, though, it's still crucial to determine if Omicron is more transmissible than other variants.
Even if it is a mild disease, it's important that we still act fast now to take measures to control its spread, because even if we have a large number of cases that are mild, some of those individuals will need hospitalizations, they will need to go into ICU, and some people will die.
Omicron's arrival has coincided with a spike in new COVID cases, up 19% in just 2 weeks. The number of new infections now tops 108,000 a day. The CDC says 99% of those cases are caused by the Delta variant, with unvaccinated people remaining the most at risk. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
A new study indicates men spread coronavirus particles more so than women or children. It's according to researchers at Colorado State University who ran a study focused on tracking the spread of COVID-19 in performing arts settings. The study was designed to look at what performing arts facilities can do to foster a safe return to the stage following the pandemic. The performing arts, from the educational level all the way to Broadway performances, were some of the most dramatically impacted fields. A cruise ship returned to New Orleans during the weekend with at least 10 people on board testing positive for COVID. Now the Norwegian breakaway left New Orleans on November 28th, stopping in Belize, Honduras, and Mexico. The cruise line says it has notified the city of New Orleans and Louisiana Department of Health about the positive cases, and that testing, quarantine, and isolation protocols were followed throughout the trip. Everyone who was on board will now be tested. Those who test positive must go directly home or self-isolate. The United Kingdom will require all inbound travelers to take a pre-departure COVID test regardless of their vaccination status. According to the UK's health director, the requirement begins Tuesday. Passengers 12 years and up must take a PCR or lateral flow test no earlier than 48 hours before departure. The UK will also be adding Nigeria to its red list today.
It is just after 6 a.m. on December the 6th, but most of us are waking up in those middle 60s out there. Let's take a look at those temperatures real quick. 62 in Jackson, 63 for Hazard and London, and 64 over in Prestonsburg. A really mild start to the day. Also mild and muggy. 54 for a dew point in London, 55 in Somerset. And you know by now, the higher this number is, the more moisture we have in the air and the more that we have energy for these storms to work with. And it's also a pretty breezy start to the day. Wind gusts anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe upwards of 20 miles per hour right now. 23 in Monticello, 10 over in Jackson, and 18 over in Prestonsburg. Taking a look at satellite and radar, most of us are dry right now, but that cold front and that squall line just off to our west, and that is slowly pushing off towards the east. So a very soggy morning commute is expected for most of us here across the mountains. Now taking a wider look at the state, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Greenup County just off to our north until 6:30 this morning. We're not really expecting widespread severe weather here in the mountains, but heavy rainfall and gusty winds are definitely possible as that cold front pushes through the area. Got much more on that cold front and your forecast for the rest of your work week coming up a little bit later. Dakota?
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. Well, more news is on the way when we come back. A deadly volcano in Indonesia erupts, leaving behind a path of destruction. Well, more on that on the way.